We got thrown out of a house party the first time we tried mixed drink.
So I told this story from high school, gosh, probably 3 or 4 years ago. I mentioned the ginger, said some things about the ginger.
We'll just call him the ginger. The ginger was a creep, okay? He was one of those guys who would get girls really fucking trashed, wouldn't drink hardly at all, and then try to, like, do shit with them. Real fucking creepy dude.
I'm friends with a lot of people that hung out with the ginger from college, and they said that the ginger got really upset about the video I posted. What's funny is everything I said in that video is totally true. And the reason that I say that is because everybody who was friends with him from high school or college or just knew him from high school or college knew exactly who I was talking about simply by describing the behavior of the ginger. And what I do find just so interesting is like, I believe that whatever life path you've been on, all the mistakes or things that you're ashamed of, like whatever you've been through, it all happens for a reason at the end of the day. And you may not see that till 20 years later, but you will see like everything I've been going through was a lesson or it happened for a reason. Like it helped me grow or become a better version of myself. Like the past is the past at the end of the day. You can't always dwell on it or circle back to it every time something goes wrong. Like you have to move on and grow from it and learn from it. That's just my opinion. So I do find it so funny when I do tell stories from high school and you hear through the grapevine that people get pissed about it or something, or they're really upset about what I said. But it's like, I've never dropped a name unless someone gave me permission or if I had a buddy come on and talk about a story with me. So it's like, if you know who I'm talking about and everybody that you're friends with knows that I'm talking about you, then what I'm saying must be very accurate and true to what happened or what you are doing as a person. So that's just something for me that I've always found really funny. And the reason that I do bring it up is because, especially going to high school in Northern Kentucky, like, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's because I went to Cuff Cath and it was, kind of a prep school area or like, I think just being a part of the Catholic Church, like you hear, kind of the same six families are the top of the food chain in every dynamic. And because of that, the kids are very entitled or they're judgmental and they look at you a certain way. And I'm not saying that as a jab or me, being condescending. It's just the truth of growing up in that environment. And the reason I'm saying all that is it used to really grind my gears in high school. Like I used to get really hurt feelings by people just coming at me for not being born and raised in Northern Kentucky or not being, one of those established family names at Covington Catholic. Like that used to really bother me. And it's like, why can't you just treat me the way you treat everybody else? Like, why do I have to be judged and stuff? And I would get so angry to the point where I would go off on people like once every 6 months and be like, Tom, what's your problem? And I'm like, I went off one time. Like, do you not see the last like 3 months of these people making like sidebar comments or like taking jabs at me constantly or making fun of me? Like, does nobody else hear that? Or is it just me that hears that? And as you get older, you realize like it doesn't matter. Like you can't let that stuff affect you. Like you have to have the opinion that you have of yourself and know in your heart of hearts who you are as a person. That's all that matters. And again, for me, from a religious standpoint, it's like the only person who can judge me is God. The only person who truly knows me, my intentions, my dreams, my goals, my desires, like 100% of who I am as a person is God. So if God judges me and I'm a bad person in God's eyes, so be it. But I could give a shit what anybody else thinks. And I think that's just a really important thing to learn. The earlier you learn that, the better. And for me, going away and being on my own and having a totally fresh start in college, that's what I needed to realize that. And the reason I'm airing all that out right now is because, like, when you do get out of the environment that you grew up in and then you come back to it, you start to realize, like, there's just a lot of people that are stuck in the past or a lot of people that are stuck in a negative mindset. And it's okay to go back and visit old friends and check in and see how they're doing or dip a toe in the past and be like, man, I really learned from that situation. But when you do get back in that environment or you do return to home or you do return to those people that you used to hang out with, don't let them pull you down. Don't let any negativity towards you affect who you are in present moment or in as you've gotten older. It's like if I wasn't so angry and bitter about the way I was being treated in high school, I would have been able to move on a lot earlier in my life and start to kind of, turn that page and move on and grow as a person. And again, I think maturity and time, you have to go through that. But in the same breath, you have to remember that like a lot of people never go through that growth or maturity because they never move out of that environment, or they never choose to take a different road and figure out themselves. So that's why, to me, it used to be a head scratch. I'm like, bro, I'm telling stories from high school. Like, why do you get so angry? Why do you get so mad that I'm telling a story from high school? Whether I'm talking about you negatively or positive, who am I? I'm just telling the truth of my experience and my perspective of that moment. So like, why does it matter what I said about you? I didn't even I didn't even give enough information for you to be able to identify yourself. But again, so many people are so focused on the past and they still see themselves the way that they saw themselves as freshmen in high school. And that, like, you can't help somebody undo that. You can't help somebody see themselves differently. Like, they have to go through that process themselves. But you don't have to feel bad about growing up. And I think that's the most important thing to remember is like, because I get it. It's hard. I have a lot of really, when I went to college, I had a lot of people that I thought were really good friends from high school. And as you get older, you just realize like that relationship has changed. And the most important lesson that I think comes with that is like those people are, those friends that you had from high school or college or whatever, like they didn't change. They're not bad people just because exactly who they were as freshmen in high school. You just opened your eyes, broadened your perspective, you changed or grew or whatever it is. So you feel different now that you're back in that setting and you feel a type of way about that person or whatever it is. Like you changed, you developed, you grew, and now you don't feel the same way that you used to feel in that setting when you were a high schooler. You know what I mean? And again, I'm just using that as an example because that's what I learned. That's what I've learned now, 10 years removed from high school is like there's just a lot of people that they stay in that comfort zone. They stay in that dynamic that makes them feel safe or at home. And you don't have to do that. And in my opinion, the only way to really, you know, it, take a productive step in your life, whether it's with like your own internal peace or just figuring yourself out or a career path, like success, whatever it is, it's not that you can't have success in your comfort zone, but you'll never know you'll never know anything but your comfort zone if you choose to stay in it your entire life. And I just think that's an important lesson to, even if you return to it. Like if you branch out and be like, oh well, this isn't really for me, or things didn't work out the way I wanted them to, I'm gonna go back to what I knew. I think that's okay because then you at least know that what the other side looks like. But I just think it's so important because like if I never branched out or never tried to change anything about my life, I would have thought the same thing that I thought when I was in high school, when I lost a little bit of confidence and kind of questioned who I was as a person and thought like, man, I'm kind of like a loser. Like nobody really wants to hang out with me. Like, people don't want to hang out with me just because I live out in the country. And all these people at this prep school, like they don't accept me. They don't look at me the way that they look at each other just because I'm not from the same middle school or I don't live in the area that they live in. Like when you take a step back, like that is the dumbest concept ever. Like that shouldn't be a thing. Like it shouldn't matter where you live or where you come from. Like if you get along with somebody, you get along with somebody. But if I would have kept that mindset my entire life, I would have wanted to try to live up in northern Kentucky in a neighborhood that I don't really want to live in and hang out with people that really don't even want to be around me just in order to be accepted. So when you take a step back on that, there's people that live their entire lives that way. Like that's the mindset that they have from a certain age and they try to just live from that perspective. And it's like again, it's not my place to judge, but I think you need to go through stages in life where you completely remove yourself from what you know and force yourself into an uncomfortable situation because it forces you to actually just rely on yourself and figure out who you are as a person versus just staying with what you know and only pursuing things in the parameters of what you're comfortable doing. So that that's why I find it so funny that people get pressed from things in high school because to me, when I take a step back, I'm like, dude, that was so long ago. Like, it's so irrelevant and stupid. Like, yeah, they're great memories and funny stories, but it's no deeper than that. So, so I guess my spiel here is just to tell you to make sure that you at least try to do something new, at least try to get out of your comfort zone at some point in your life, because regardless of how it goes, whether you think it's the worst thing or best thing ever, you will at least figure out something about yourself that allows you to be at peace with who you are as a person and the life that you end up living. That would be my little note on Talks with Tom today. So hope everybody's well. We'll be back with more episodes soon, but that's what I've learned from telling stories from high school and people being upset about it, because it always used to be such a head scratcher for me. I'm like, I don't understand why you'd even be irritated about that. That happened 10 years ago. Like, and everything I said was true. So, like, why does it matter? But when you think about it from the mindset of everything I just described, it all kind of makes sense. So that's today's episode. I'll be back with more content soon. Talks to Tom.
Taking shots by the lake till I can't even breathe no more, see no more. I was riding around town thinking to myself, is it gonna get